Hi, this is my Module 8 discussion, and I was in Sign Chapter 10. Discuss effective employee recruitment, apply the stages to your own employment history, explain where you believe it has been both effective, ineffective, and the strengths and deficits of this model. James Bro, Therese McCann, and Dana Grambo created a 5-step model to help organizations think about all the steps recruiting a new employee entails. The 5 steps are recruitment objective. This stage is used to brainstorm what an employer is expecting from a position and what they are looking for in an employee. Recruitment strategy includes how you are going to get the information out to potential applicants and where you are most likely to find applicants that fit your needs. Next are the recruitment activities. This is where you follow through with the ideas from your recruitment objectives and strategy, such as creating what you want people to understand about your company and where you will advertise the position for. Most of the positions I've applied for previously I found on a company's website. Then there is the applicant interviews. This is where you go through all the applications and weed out those that don't fit your needs. Then you'll make contact with the applicant and set up an interview. For me, this stage also included some testing on spelling abilities, alphabetizing, and speed of shelving correctly. The last step is recruitment results. Did you meet your objectives? Did the applicant sign a contract? What was done well and what could have done better? You can find more detailed information on 287 through 289. I think the job description did a pretty good job explaining what the organization was looking for and what limitations they put on the position. The position was advertised on the organization's website, most likely the local newspaper and possibly their Facebook as well, but this was several years ago. Overall, I think the model works well, if a little redundant in places. Several questions listed on 287 under recruitment objectives and strategy overlap, so they could probably combine those 2 steps. Another possibility would to include a step between applicant interview and recruitment results. It jumps from having the interview to hiring. 2. Using an example from your personal or professional history, explain Jablin's stages of organizational socialization. How does it work? As you explain this, be sure to use language of the text with your own examples. There are 3 basic stages of organizational socialization made by Jablin. The first is anticipatory socialization, the time before someone joins an organization and is influenced by those around them. What they see and hear. For me, photography would have been my career path. I used to take wonderful photos, and family, friends, peers, and most other people said I should go into photography. Next is organizational entry and assimilation, which includes everything between the time someone is offered a position and when that person becomes an established member, where they have found how they fit in. The final stage is organizational disengagement and exit. This is when the idea that it may be time to move on shows up, till the time after you leave an organization and are able to make sense out of your experiences. An example from my professional history would be when I received a probationary release and involuntary disengagement. Looking back, I'm not really sure if there was much of a pre-announcement step. There may have been some clues that the director wasn't thrilled with me, but nothing that would have given a reasonable person the belief they wouldn't be with the organization for much longer. Sorry, I lost my place. This would have been when the director told me we had an appointment in human resources and I was informed my services were no longer needed. 3 days before the end of my probationary period. The actual exit step may have taken 30 minutes from the time I was told to when I actually left the building. Post-exit included my previous coworkers trying to figure out what had happened. Most of them had thought I'd gone home sick. Then they had to figure out who would be taking over my duties once they realized I wasn't coming back. While much of this chapter focuses on recruitment and socialization, considering the material, how do you believe adding new members to an existing team might impact a potentially re-socialize members of an existing team? Use the concepts presented throughout the chapter and your own personal experience to support your perspectives. I think this also depends on the situation. Is the new employee filling an empty position, or are they filling a brand new position? If filling an empty position, the team members will have an idea of how the team is structured. If the person is filling a new position, all members have to adjust to the new unknown dynamics. Current employees tend to create an idea of how a new member will fit in to the previous dynamics. This is done partially to help with uncertainty, but sometimes it's very different from the reality, which makes adjusting more difficult. When a previous supervisor of mine left, everyone assured me how great and nice the new supervisor was. She was an internal candidate, but I hadn't worked with her previously. When we first started working together, I was surprised since so many people had told me how wonderful she was. So the image created and the reality didn't match. Unfortunately, the reputations that are generated could easily inflate the new hire's skills, making it harder for the new hire to actually meet the unrealistic expectations created. 298. Disengagement was not given as much attention as recruitment and socialization. Still, apply the material to your own experience of leaving organizations. How accurate is the textbook description? What might be missing? I think there needs to be another step or section for people who voluntarily disengage, but not for any negative reasons. For me, it wasn't that I was dissatisfied, but I wanted to advance within the system. My exit account was to help me achieve my future orientation. When I transferred to another department, my supervisor and I left things on a good note. She was sad that I was changing departments, but ecstatic that I wanted to further my career. For my post-exit step, we had planned for my leaving and knew how she was going to manage, which was by borrowing employees from other locations until my position was filled. I apologize for being late with this video. I have been dealing with migraines and neck pains the last few days, so I haven't had a chance to be able to record it until now. Thanks.